you know, there's three different stages in your jiu-jitsu. The first thing you're going to learn is positioning, and then you're going to learn escapes or defense, and then you're going to learn submissions. And only then will you really be comfortable to learn submissions. But one of the most important things about all three of these, positioning, defense or escapes, and submissions, is hip movement. Everything is predicated on the ground on hip movement. No different than when you're standing up, everything is predicated off your feet. You can have the most beautiful punch or kick in the world, but if you can't get in the right position at the right time to use it, it's pointless. So what we're going to do is the hip movement is equivalent to that on the ground. So what I'm going to do is show you a drill to work on your hip movement a little bit. We're going to start off like this, hands up, in tight. You don't want them outstretched, in tight here where you're getting strong. So first thing I'm going to do is bring this foot out. Then this hip is going to follow here. Notice this knee comes up to the elbow here. Then we're going to come back to the center and do the other side. This hip comes out, this foot comes out. I bridge up a little bit. This knee comes up to the elbow here. Eventually, you're not going to do it like this anymore. So right now I'm just going here, going back, here, going back. Eventually you'll continue this and make it one fluid movement. So eventually you're going to go here and then here, then here and here. Constantly working that hip out. Notice in the hip movement, you know, in wrestling a lot of times we bridge on the head and on the neck. In jiu-jitsu, most of the time you're going to bridge on the shoulders like this. But notice when I was doing that drill a second ago, I pull the foot out and I want to hip to this side. Look at what I'm really doing here. This foot is touching and this shoulder is touching. Nothing else. You see that? Nothing else is touching under here. I bridge slightly on this foot, this shoulder, opposites. I bridge and pull the hip out. Okay, same on the other side. Here, I bridge up a little bit, pull the hip out. I'm going to show you another drill that you can do at home to work this hip movement. This can be done on a wall, a fence obviously, your living room couch, and your living room floor. Any place you can prop your feet up. It can be done off of your training partner's hips. You can do the same thing. But I'm going to show you how to do it off a wall or a fence. You're going to want to bring your butt really close to the wall of the fence. Your feet come up and you're here. Now my hips start here in this position, just like this. An easy way, again, look what I'm doing. I'm bridging, like I showed you a moment ago. I'm bridging up. Bridging up gets less surface area on my shoulders, makes it easier for me to turn. And now I simply, if I want to go to bring my hips out to the left, I simply point my knees to the right. See what it does? So I want to get my hips out here. Okay? And then I can come back to the other side. Here. You should be able to go to either side with either foot at any time. So in other words, you shouldn't have to use this foot to get this hip out this way. You should be able to use this foot to get the hip out. Either way. Here. Either way. You've got to be able to have good hip mobility. Okay, now I gave you this big long spiel a minute ago about everything is predicated on hip movement on the ground. And I showed you the drill, to work that basic movement. And now I'm going to show you the application of that. Here's one. We're here in guard. His goal in guard is to pin your hips down. If he can pin your hips down, this is just bad news. He really takes away a lot of my options. So I've got to learn to get this hip off, so he can't pin it down here. So one of the ways I can do this, so I'm going to show you, there's a lot of ways. I can use his body to do it, or I can use his hips to do it. But I'm going to show you just like we did in the drill a moment ago. I'm just going to bring the foot here and bring it out. Bring the hip out. Okay, so let's go back again now to side control. We're here, same thing. I protect my mount here with my leg, elbow in, to create a stopper so he can't cut the space, he can't close the space off after I create it. I'm going to bring this leg out, the hip comes out. He goes in, and back to guard. Now I'm in this position. I'm going to half butterfly. So once again, I want to sweep them, but once again, in order for that to happen, what am I going to have to do? Pop the hip out. So I pop the hip out. And I pick it up, chop. But again, you see everything that I'm doing, come back, requires me to pop the hip out. Now let's look at the basic arm bar from here. Just like I did it when I did the arm bar from mount earlier. Remember I crossed the hands and came here? I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna cross here and come here. The count and go to the arm bar. See what the hips have to do? You see that? The hips have to come out to take the arm. Okay, let's look at it again. Say I want to go to, I'm here and I'm trying to take this arm. And I get sideways on him, and I go to try, I'm going to try to take his right arm. What's he going to do? He's immediately going to try to pull it out of it. When he pulls it out, boom, switch back and go for another one. Now you got two arm bars. But again, what did I have to do to make that happen? I had to switch the hip from side to side. Hip mobility. Okay, here, here, here. There. He snatches that arm out. Watch the hip. Out and around to here. Here's one more application. You remember earlier when we showed you how to go to the go-go off of this arm bar, the stacked arm bar? Watch the hips. It's all in the hips. We're here, we take the arm. Here he stacks me up and the hips come under. Just like that. This knee comes up in case he tries to strike. This comes up here. All in hip movement. Here, 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 hip. Immediately. So we take the arm, come step up, come around, he comes up, and watch this right foot over here. Drops down to the hip, here. Drops down and pulls my hip back under, here. Now my hip is over here. And I grab the toe or the ankle or what have you, and if he goes to strike at this point, this comes up. This can still come out, come over, get nasty in here.